All right, hey everybody, welcome to episode 110 of the Duole podcast. I'm Stuart Anderson. This is just a short introduction before we hear from Mr. Scott Miles. Grateful for Scott and Chip, who joins as co-host on this episode. So good to hear from Scott. He's been on the podcast a few times. One time we had him on when he reported on and talked about climbing Mauna Kea, and then he was also co-host with Joel Zanger. I'd kind of forgotten we'd never actually taken the time to get to know Scott and do a podcast about him. So what a great man, great leader, great dad, really a great example to everybody as a yellow jersey wearer of what it means to stand for Me Duole with our legacy and our strength, and especially Scott's willingness to suffer. He is the pinnacle of sportsmanship with his trail running and his skiing and mountain biking, gravel biking and road biking. I mean, Scott does it all. Grateful for him, thankful for all he does when he plans the reckoning, him and Karen. So fun to participate in that every year as we prepare for Crusher and the Tusher. So anyway, grateful for Scott, thankful for the time that he takes to prepare and then also share on this episode. So not a lot of team announcements other than a big thank you to everybody for the Canyons Challenge. Big shout out to Zane Miller and LHM for a huge donation that made the Canyons Challenge successful and made it possible for us to do a donation. We're just grateful for him and thankful for his support. Big shout out to Chip. You know, Chip poured everything into planning and preparing for Canyons Challenge. He was really the heart behind making Canyons Challenge happen. So big love for Chip. If you see him or text him, let him know how grateful you are for all the work and vision he put in to make sure that it happened. So big thanks to all those that participated. All right, that's it for an introduction. Enjoy Scott Miles, and thanks for listening. All right, what's up? Episode 110. Dude, 110. Although I was criticized yesterday as not producing enough episodes. I'm like,
stop slacking, Stu.
Yeah, sorry guys on our little podcast here. Chip, how are you?
Yeah, doing great. Thank you.
If you're watching the video, Chip has my most favorite picture over his left shoulder on top of 3 towers. That was my most favorite picture.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That was a great morning. Very
so good.
And Scotty, what do you got? Sorry, yesterday was the deadline for all complaints. Good reminder.
This is my wife's office. She's in sales, and so she sales related.
Yep.
Big thanks to everybody that made it out to Team Picture last night. So yeah, it's the 22nd today. So man, I always kind of get nervous sending that out that there's only going to be like 10 guys show up for the picture. So it was,
we filled the picture once again.
We did good. Yeah. Like what, 5 rows of guys. So that was really fun. Thanks everybody. And
way fun.
I know a lot of guys have like texted apologies. No need to apologize, right? I mean, everybody is different every year. And if you can make a picture or not make a picture, it's okay. So thanks everybody. Yeah. Really fun. I haven't seen it from Adam. Do you think I'm gonna have to pay him to get that picture? Yeah, Chip saying yes.
Yep.
You pay him in kits. All right. Very good. Anything else going on, guys? Big I don't know, team.
The wrap up of the Canyons Challenge.
Yeah.
And
Chip, you want to do a report there on Canyons Challenge?
Yeah. Okay. So we had about 100 people register, and the Canyons Challenge, so everybody listening knows, was taken over from what was the 5 canyons. Everyone's familiar with that. We took it over. We've had it the last 2 years, the Me Duole Canyons Challenge, and it has been a really fun 2 years of running the event and seeing not only our team members come out, and that's like, maybe 40% of who comes out, but another 60% of just people that want a really good training and tough day where you do over 10,000 vert through our canyons. And we were nervous to include 7 miles of gravel in this one, but we made it a KOM, and Ventum was a sponsor of that. And like Stu said, the rain came in toward the very end of the day and definitely made everybody wet. But that is all in a Canyons Challenge day.
Yep.
So
Nice.
um,
uh,
so everyone knows that we also did raise good money that goes towards local charities for those that are working with children that have been abused or in abusive relationships and made a great impact. So thank you.
yeah. And if I can, Chip, big shout out. I know he doesn't want it, but big shout out to Zane Miller.
Mhm.
We had him on, man, last summer. I can't remember to announce the Utah Crit League that he started, and I think he caught wind of this event and wanted to be a huge, um, a very large donation to the charitable foundation that we gave to, and almost like I don't know if we could have done it without him. So big shout out to LHM and Zane, and grateful for his support of all Utah cycling. So
Yeah.
right, he deserves that.
Yep.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Big time. Cool. Scotty, anything else? Any updates? I don't know.
No, what was the flat tally on the gravel?
I do have that. I do
You do
have that, but
have-
Scott Allen was the KOM.
Yeah.
Dang.
And you would kind of expect that, wouldn't you? Scott, for those of
Oh
you that
yeah.
do Scott Miles's Reckoning,
Reckoning.
if you have not ridden much with Scott Allen, who usually hangs out with Scotty and AJ, he is one to reckon with. He is mean, fast, and knows how to ride gravel.
For sure. No, that makes sense.
Was
Well,
he
well
on a
done.
gravel bike?
Most people rode this event on road bikes, and some made some adjustments just to the tires. And some also, I noticed those that won just lowered their tire pressure at feed zone right before entering that
Mm,
segment.
smart.
Smart.
Cool. Nice job, Scott Allen.
Yeah.
We were just discussing Scott has been on the podcast before. He joined us when he climbed Mauna Kea. Um, you kind of climbed it at the same time as Andy Welch, so we had you guys on to talk about that ridiculous experience. And
Yep.
then we've had you on when you interviewed co-host with Joel Zanger. So it was kind of like I'd forgotten that we hadn't had you on as an official guest. So
Hey, this works. I'm excited.
yes. We asked Scott's wife to write a brief introduction. Is very good, and I think a lot of if we want to stop, you can stop with Scotty, or I'll just read it and then we can discuss any points. Is that okay, guys?
Works.
Yeah.
Okay. Scott's wife, here she goes. Scott's one of a kind, hardworking, adventure seeking superhuman. That's it. That's a perfect example.
Mhm.
There's nothing he won't attempt and no mountain he won't climb. If there's an adventure to be had, Scott will figure out a way to make it happen. I joke that on his tombstone, it's going to read, "It's going to be fine." So good. When we were first dating, we were hiking in Lake Powell and ended up on a ledge looking down at the houseboat. Do you remember this story, Scott?
I do. She
Okay.
often refers back to it, so it's
Okay.
yeah, it's imprinted on all of our memories.
Okay.
Mhm.
Scott said that it would be quicker to just work our way down from there than hike all the way back. So, placing my trust in Scott, I went along with it. The route ended with a bit of a drop that we had to negotiate, and little did I know that that was the beginning of our adventures in life. While I tend to lean towards the safe side of all of our adventures, Scott is always telling me it'll be fine, and it always is. Scott dreams up and participates in long endurance mountain bike and gravel adventures. He's participated in Point to Point, Crusher, Lodija, True Grit, and Dirty Dino. He likes to come up with his own choose your own adventure courses, The Reckoning, I'm sure we'll talk about. I'm grateful to all the other Crazy Me Dwelle riders who are willing to indulge Scott in his antics on the bike. There's some crazy wiring going on in his head, and I truly love his passion, dedication, and grit that Scott puts into everything he commits to in his life. The way he approaches his training is the same dedication he gives to his work and family. You would think that there were 36 hours in a day the way Scott operates. I love that. I don't know how he gets it all done. When our 10-year-old wants to go on a bike ride, he is there even though he's been up since 5 a.m. and has already written 30 plus miles that day. The three of us each. That's a very good example.
Yeah.
Our son is also on the Skyline and Maybird team. He's a proud dad. He's proud to see two of our kids loving mountain biking. Our older daughters are also into running. I guess you could say that we've grown into an adventure family. Scott's a true
Yeah.
athlete who dedicates his energy and time into his passion for adventure. We all love Scott at the Miles household and are proud of him. Dude, there you
Mhm.
go.
So nice.
And Scotty, you were one of the early yellow jersey wearers for the team,
Hmm.
representing what we stand for. And I remember when Chip and I got those nominations, it was perfect, like easy decision that you're a great example for everything the team stands for. So grateful to have
Appreciate
you on,
that.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been great being part of the team. It's good family.
Anything you want to append there or rebuttal or any
No, yeah,
additions?
from early on, yeah, she after our Lake Powell experience, both between her and my family made it pretty well known. I needed to be a little bit better on choosing adventures and for the audience and doing a little bit better of striking a better balance there. And so kind of from that day forward, we've been trying to strike a good balance. Sometimes we do it, sometimes we don't, but she's a good sport and comes along and does a good job.
I mean, if Strava's any example of your adventure, so well balanced, Scotty. We always joke around that like you'll see you climbing Grandeur in the morning and then Skyline mountain bike practice in the afternoon, or like a ski session with Chip in the morning and then like a a run with Karen at night, which is really always fun to see. So
Hmm.
anyway, hey, do you want to tell us? You've got some great notes here. Do you want to talk about where you came from, family, school, and sports, and then me and Chip can ask. I know
Hmm.
Chip can hit you with the follow-up questions.
Yep.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, I grew up here in kind of the Mill Creek area. Been here my whole life. Come from a family of 10 kids, so seven sisters, two brothers, and um, yeah, just kind of in the summers here. Spent my summers with my buddies. We'd go over by Suicide Rock and go and
Nice.
shoot the tube, and that was kind of the highlight of the summer. I guess every summer I kind of think back to those days, but it was kind of a different time, a different demographic. You go down there in the '80s with all the rocker dudes and their cut off jorts and
Hmm.
it was an awesome time. It was pretty interesting times, but that was yeah kind of my introduction to adventure and some interesting people. But
Hmm.
Fun.
other than that, growing up, I didn't do too many team sports. Primarily baseball. Did a lot of baseball until high school, and then other than that is really just kind of individual sports. Did a lot of water skiing with family in the summer, snow skiing in the winter, and then played a lot of golf with my dad and my brothers. And so that was kind of my athletics growing up. Did a little biking. I'd go bike with my friends or whatever, but never really got into biking, and then didn't really get turned on to it until after my mission and in college. Went and bought my first road bike, kind of right around 2000 2001, and kind of from there it all began. I grew up in the neighborhood we lived in when we first got married. Dave Sharp lived there. Chris Peterson lived there. Some other Duole members. Some of the other. Yeah, they kind of introduced me to it. They're really nice. Invited me to the rides. Here's a kit. Let's go get this done. And they were awesome mentors and good dudes.
Nice. Whoa. One of my most favorite things about you is that if maybe you guys don't know this, when when you come to team camp, he rides in the morning, then him and Jameson play golf in the afternoon.
Yeah, we need to make that a thing.
I need to,
Riding, golf, and
yes,
then dinner.
it's awesome. So I mean, you say you played golf a lot when you're growing up. Favorite place to go? Are you good at golf? I mean, do you still play a lot?
Still play. Oh, I guess progressively less. This year I played twice, but I still
Hmm.
like play golf. I actually played golf yesterday, but it's been my second
Nice.
time this year, so not very often.
Okay. Chip, any follow-up questions from childhood?
Man, when Scotty talks about Suicide Rock and growing up
Hmm.
in that in the backyard, it's so fun to see how the same places and uh, the same places still provide the same adventures for us today as a Midwelly team. And
Hmm.
some of these backyards, Scotty loves Mill Creek Canyon, but we have grown up in Mill Creek Canyon and know it like the back of our hands, and Suicide Rock in that area is just, it's so fun to still be playing in the same backyard with the
Hmm.
same adventures and showcasing it to some people that are seeing it for the first time
Yeah,
on the Midwelly team.
so funny.
And Scott, for me, was like that. I mean, I started older, long ago when Scott did and started. And so Scott will talk about some of his mentors. I was riding with Scott in his first uh, times that he got going with Midwelly as well.
Yeah. I know my daughter was taken to shoot the tube a couple weeks ago by like whatever, some senior boy. And I was out mowing the lawn. So I came in and Kristen's like, oh, she's shooting the tube. And I was like, No, 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 no. She cannot go without me for her first time like shooting. Like what are you saying? And then when she got home, I'm like, so how was it? She's like, oh, the boys that we went with had never been. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like,
Yeah.
please. And
Yeah.
they went at like night. They were there in the dark. I'm like, well, did
Yeah.
you have glow sticks, flashlights? She's like, no, we didn't take any of it. I'm like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
rookies.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway,
I
hey,
agree.
very cool. All right, Scott, do you want to talk a little bit about your family now?
It's a family now. So yeah, married about that same time, right around 2001.
Okay.
I have 4 kids. Met Karen through a mutual friend or a mutual family member. I'd come home from a particularly bad lineup, and was talking to my sister, saying, this dating thing is so ridiculous, and this person lined me up, and it was really bad, and I don't know. Anyway, so got talking, and she said she had a friend, and yeah, met her at a party that they had, later that week, and it was kind of hit it off, and everything was kind of, yeah. Couple months later, we're engaged and
Nice.
up, and married 6 months later. So that was us getting married. Um, yeah, I've got a 20-year-old and 18-year-old. They both go to BYU. Both girls. They both kind of did dance and cheer at high school, and now we're kind of on to college scene. My oldest just got married last year, so she's been married a year. So it's been a pretty eye-opening experience for her going through the whole adulting process. She's done a great job with it. And then got a son who's just starting with Skyline, ninth grade, and then a daughter who's 10 years old, fifth grade.
Fifth grade.
Mhm. Which one is riding? So your freshman, Max, he's riding at Skyline.
Yeah. So he started, junior Devo started 3 years ago when he was 12. And then he's just kind of progressively kind of worked his way up. He's pretty excited about this year. I mean, you guys have probably seen this. You guys are both, coaches and ride leaders for Olympus, and so I'm sure you've seen the same thing. But it's pretty cool to see the evolution of their growth, kind of between age
Yeah.
of 12 to about this age and sophomores. It's just amazing how quickly
Mm-hmm.
they get good. I mean, you start from these 12-year-old boys who, they're real tough, and yeah, I can bike, and then you get them on a hill, and you climb up 500 feet, and they start crying, and it's like, you don't have to. We're just mountain biking,
Yeah.
You don't have to get emotional. I know it's hard. So they kind of come from this space where they're just not. A lot of them, some maybe, but a lot of them just aren't familiar with working at that level and doing a lot of cardio, and I don't think they can wrap their brain around how hard it is at first, and so the first couple of years are like that, and then when it clicks, it just clicks, and then they just become all sorts of fast, and now, yeah, I'm sure he'll pass me up very, either now or very, very shortly. And it's cool to watch them progress.
It is.
I know it's nothing better than when it goes from you begging your children to go out to when they are like, "Hey, should we go out?" And I'm like,
Mhm.
"Oh, yes, you're asking me to go out."
Yep.
That's the best.
Yep.
Very
Yeah.
cool. And Scotty, remind me where you guys are going. You already, oh yeah, Beaver Mountain this weekend.
Yep. Beaver Mountain.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And who's in that Skyline District? I wish we were in that Skyline District or we were in the same
In
division.
that region, I don't know
Yeah, the
all the
region.
different schools that are in that region. I haven't really looked at them. I think a lot of the schools up north, usually with Bountiful and
Hmm.
yeah, a lot of, I don't know why, but yeah, a lot of the
Yeah.
Davis County people for
We
some
used to
reason
be,
were,
there was
We
like,
used
I
to.
would say
Yeah.
it was 4 years ago, 3 years ago. And then there was a change with the region.
Yeah, we got Corner
Yeah.
Canyon
Mhm.
instead.
Yeah.
Hmm.
It changed up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. First weekend of NICA racing. Actually, probably this last weekend, there was
It
probably,
yeah,
was. Yeah.
some of the regions raced last week. 'Cause I know there was some
yeah.
racing at Beaver Mountain
hmm
last week, but
Yep.
Okay. And then your two older daughters, do they run with Karen? Is that's her passion, right? Trail running? Because you've warned us not to be on the Upper Big Water Trail and Karen, no bike should be there.
yeah, we exactly. And now she loves, she kind of, so as her kids were younger, she graduated in exercise sports science, so always really liked to be healthy, liked to do things, but always was in the gym. And as we started, we were married, we'd both go to the gym together and do this and that. And as the kids were younger, that was good because they'd have a daycare. She'd drop them off, and then she could get a workout in, and she did that for years and years. And then we started doing more running and trail running, and then she's kind of come over to the dark side, and now she much prefers going on the trail to going to the gym, and does a great job with that and enjoys that. Does a little bit of little bit of road biking, a little bit of mountain biking,
hmm
mostly road biking. The mountain biking is still little, it's a little scary at first, and so
Yeah.
we're still working on that one.
I like that when we do the reckoning each year, um, okay, we'll give a shout out to Karen, in fact, because this has been all about Scott, but when Scott hosts the reckoning each year, Karen provides the support for everybody that is involved in the reckoning. And so each feed zone that we pull up to, she meets us there and provides all of the food, nutrition, water, etc. But not only that, she goes and does a ride or a run in between each session of while we're out riding, she goes and parks and does her own running or
Workout.
riding. Very cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, she's been a great sport to do that, and it works out pretty well. She'll go out for a little road loop around Park City or go for a trail run, and then meet us. Or she's been a great sport to do that.
Yeah.
Nice. Scotty, can you talk about what kind of drew you in to cycling? The thing is, it's neat about Scott, if you don't know, is that, I mean, I remember one of the first times, Scott, I ever saw you, you were like competing in Kona, like and I'm like, this dude is the all-American.
Mhm.
So I know typically is talking about cycling, but maybe talk about that in general, like endurance, how you got into all of it.
Yeah, so right after my mission, had a friend who wanted to do the Jordan Triathlon, and this was that summer, weeks after I got home, and I'm like, okay, I'll try that, and so did that, and that was on, what was that? That was actually on a mountain bike, I believe, because when they very first started Jordanelle, it was an Xterra event, and
Mm.
and it was mountain bike, and then I think they may have had a couple of years where it was both road and off road, and then they dropped the off road and went straight to road. And so started off doing some triathloning, primarily road triathlons at first, Echo, Jordanelle, those. And that was kind of what I'd gear up for every year as our kids were young, and kind of do some training to get ready for those. And it was pretty tame, just kind of something to stay in shape. And then I had a buddy who talked me into going up to Ogden and Pineview, and they started doing Xterra started doing the national race
That's
up
right.
there. And so I did that for about 10 years and just kind of progressively got better and faster. And it was a fun experience. Just trying to get better, figure out how to do the training and the nutrition and not how to cramp, how to not cramp up on any of those, just those shorter triathlons. It's kind of full gas all the time. And so it's just a trick of trying to, I guess, well, like the endurance ones, just trying to put in as much as you can without cramping. And so that was fun. And then towards the end, yeah, I did qualify in my age group. You had to be like top 3 in your age group or whatever, or top 2 to go to Kona to go to the World Championships. And so I did that and figured, hey, don't do this very often. And so Karen agreed, and we went over there and did that. And it was a ton of fun. It was a muddy mess, but it was fun.
Remember that?
That is so cool.
Yeah. What year was that?
And then
Scott?
after that, I just kind of, I don't know, I probably could have continued, but then started doing more with the team and kind of put that to the side and just started doing more team stuff and more of the gravel and road.
Nice.
Scotty, you have truly, I would consider it if we called it a natural endurance body that just allows you to go and do some pretty tough things regularly, and you never seem to be on the edge of even hurting. And that's, I think, kind of also where the reckoning came from. By the way, everybody, the reckoning is usually harder than Crusher, just so you know. And so, but Scott, is that in your family gene to have endurance and suffer?
Not so much. So like I say, you talked about growing up here and up Mill Creek Canyon, and I mean that was one of the things that I could look back and kind of missed that in my childhood, and I guess maybe that's why I'm doing it now for lost times. I mean, I lived here my whole life, and maybe you would go up in the canyons for to cook or to go to Boy Scout camp or something like that. But I didn't really go up there to hike or bike or, a little bit, but not much. And so, yeah, I didn't really grow up doing a whole bunch of endurance activities. And then, once I started, I certainly wasn't amazing at it. I'm still not amazing at it, but something I do enough. Heck, you do something enough, you get at least a little bit good. So, and so, yeah, just kind of worked on it over the years. But yeah, the reckoning kind of came from just trying to get ready for Crusher. I mean, I had done Crusher, I've done it, about four times. Started about 10 years ago and did it and just got obliterated. And I continue to go back and, you kind of get obliterated every time. But I've kind of come to the conclusion, the only way you can somewhat be successful at that race or any really long endurance race is you kind of have to do the same thing a couple of times before that race in order to get your body kind of ready for that. And so the thought was, yeah, do something like the reckoning, usually a couple of weeks before Crusher, and just as a final test before you go down there. So yeah, the goal is to make it a little bit harder, maybe not quite as intense, and just to help the process along.
Nice.
It's so
How
cool.
many reckonings have we done now? 5?
Wow, yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
It's the best name. Like, what about that? The best part.
I think it makes a lot of people nervous.
Yeah, going back to striking a balance that we talked about earlier. The first couple of reckonings were probably a little didn't strike quite the right balance, and they were a little bit more adventurous than probably they should have been. And so the last couple of years tried to strike a better balance, and it has been, I think. I think people are probably maybe a little scared, but it has been quite a bit easier where we're going up Mopai, and those who don't want to go up Mopai can go up the road and then do Jeremy Dirt. And then we find some route coming back over the Wasatch that's not too bad. You can go up Armstrong and Pinecone or go up Jenny's and those really aren't that bad on a gravel bike. But anyway.
Yeah.
But yes, it is a little intimidating. I can see that.
Yeah. Now that you are working with Maybird and Skyline, all of us have kind of reached the ripe age of now you're able to take what you have learned and apply it and teach it. Yeah, Scott, talk to us about what you're doing with the Maybird team, and a shout out to the Maybird team, and tell a little bit more about just that community by itself, and then also working with Skyline and the Nika racers.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Shout out to Dan Draper. I mean, what he's put together with Maybird, such a cool thing to give these guys kind of a preseason chance to get in shape, go to the I-Cup races, race with other, or just meet dudes from other schools that are maybe, similar um, age group or ability, and get those guys racing earlier in the year, and build those friendships, and just be able to compare themselves, go to do some races. They go and travel and do some races, some national races. So it gives them some really good opportunities. And so it's similar to Nika. You're just kind of doing it in the preseason. You ride. He breaks them up into groups. You ride a couple times a week, and he just puts in a ton of effort. He's set it up really well, and just a really good community. Similar to Nika groups, and it's been fun. The way I did it with Max is, at 12 years old, like Stu was talking before, you're gonna have to be careful on how much you push this on your kids, and hey, you got to do this, you don't have to do this, and I kind of made it his choice, but at the same time, he wasn't really into it, and so I thought, I think the best approach here, I'm gonna let him kind of do his team at age 12, and I'll just tell Dan, I'll just do whatever team you want me to do, and he put me with an older group, and I've kind of done that for the last 3 years, where I've been with an older group, and then he's been with someone else. Someone else who's leading that group, and that's actually worked out really well. At least for me, I'm not sure, how. I think it's been better for both me and for him. He just, sometimes kids take good direction from their parents, and sometimes they don't. And at 12, he didn't want to take my direction, and so I feel bad for that coach. He probably didn't want to take his direction either. But anyway, he was nice.
Yeah.
And he's kind of done, 180 or 360, and now, he's all about, he wants to do good this year, and what do I need to do to be faster? Dan Draper, similar to Stu, has a really cool podcast for Maybird, where him and his son talk about training items, and he puts out a training plan, and Max has been all about listening to that, and doing his training plan. And so, like I said, just it really cool for the kids to get them in with a group of kids, and just watch them. Nothing better, similar to skiing or biking, no better way to get a kid to really excel than put him with his peers, and just let them do their thing, and that's what they've done.
Yeah.
And similar with Nika, Eric Johnson helped me.
Mm-hmm.
Eric at Skyline, he does a great job of putting teams together, and leading that group, and just tons of cool volunteers. I mean, so many people willing to pitch in. I'm sure it's the same, down at Olympus, and they do such a good job and just putting in all this effort. So I just feel pretty lucky to have to be involved with that, and have my kids involved with that, and just what a good job both those groups do, and the opportunities they give our kids. It's pretty cool.
So good. I agree. Scott, can you talk about just how you connected with the team and how you got involved? Kind of, is there like a story? Everybody kind of has like a story where they're like, I met Chip in Mill Creek and he gave me a jacket, or Chris Peterson saved me on White Rim, or is there any?
Exactly. No, just started riding with Dave. Yeah, Dave Sharp and Chris Peterson, and they were great mentors. Go up Mill Creek with them, go up Immigration. One of the first rides I went on with Chris Peterson, I didn't know what I was doing. Probably didn't have my tires pumped up quite right, and double flatted. It was before they repaved Emmy. It was used to be kind of like Mill Creek, where it was not in very good shape, and double flatted. And he's just the nicest guy in the world. Said, I'll go home and I'll come back and pick you up. And he went home, picked up his car, came back and picked me up. So just just cool guys, willing to, not only tell you how to ride, tell you how to eat, here's a kid, this is what we do, this is why we do it. And and then, the rest is history. And that's kind of how we're all brought in, and it's just such a cool group of guys of yeah. Then we just kind of pass it on and help mentor others and help support the group. And you guys do an awesome job of kind of keeping us going in the right direction. And so it's a cool group.
Even if we're wearing neon outfits, neon kits, cow print.
Hey, you guys do a great job of designing these things. So hey, we like our cow jerseys.
Okay, good. Nice. Chip, any follow-up there about how I don't actually don't remember the first time I met you, Scott.
Yeah.
Chip, any follow-up?
That is man, almost identical to mine, about the same time frame, and riding with Scott early on. And Chris Peterson and Dave Sharp also would have been considered mentors to me. So very similar. Yep.
Cool. We have some rapid fire questions, and these are great.
Yes.
Scott really prepared well. Scott, the bikes you ride, let's start there.
Well, that's kind of my problem. Can't focus my efforts. So yeah, mountain bike, Scott Spark, gravel bike, the Specialized Diverge, and then the road bike it's kind of the run of the litter, where it just ends up being whatever I put road tires on. So my old gravel bike, I use that for my road bike now, and then I've got a really old parts of my road bike are that original bike I bought in 2001. So yeah, I have a hard time parting with things.
Wow. So. Favorite local ride? These are great.
Yeah, mountain bike, it's just tough to beat Upper Mill Creek, especially now they put in that trail from Elbow Fork up to the end of the road. And so starting from there, going up the road, and then taking the trail, Dog Lake, Desolation, and then down the trails to Elbow. It's just
so good.
It's hard to have a bad day unless they're crazy dusty, but it's hard to have a bad day doing that.
Yeah, I agree.
Someone was saying that they've adjusted the Deso climb. Is that true?
Yeah, so the only good way to do this loop is you got to do it counterclockwise. That is by far, and maybe I guess I just can't fathom doing it clockwise. But anyway, if you do it counterclockwise, past Dog Lake, you go up, and right before Desolation Lake, there used to be what I think the Britons called the Deso Wall, and there was a really technical section that 99.9% of humans can't climb up. But the Britons can do it, and maybe a couple of other people can do it. But anyway, so they took that out this year, so they just kind of did a bypass around it. I was actually reading a Facebook mountain bike thread on it today. I just kind of had to look at the comments, and they were varied, but yeah, pretty much unanimously against it. Even though people can't climb it, they're really angry it's gone. So. And maybe I guess part of the bummer is they didn't just do a bypass around it so you could ride up it, but then they also put the branches in so you can't use it anymore to try and rehab it.
Oh no!
Instead of having like a B line or like an A line to a really tough climb, kind of disappointing. There's tons of conversations going on between the Forest Service and the community, but the community, according to Facebook, was a little disappointed.
Yeah,
but it's a lot easier to ride now.
Shoot, and I bet Dave's sad he can't show his skills off now.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's still a couple hard sections on there. So now the questions is right up by Desolation Lake, getting up from there to the crest, whether they'll kind of modify that. Hopefully they don't change that. That's tough. And that's always fun to see if you can clean that all the way up, but hopefully they don't touch that.
Yeah.
Shoot. All right. What other favorite rides?
Yeah, so what were the other ones? Gravel rides, there's just so many good options here, not for pure gravel, but for combined rides. We're all inspired by Chip or by AJ and, things they come up with, but just variations on, Mopai and Jeremy gravel and the trails up in Park City. And then you mix that with some road and any combination of that is super fun. And then road, I put down going up Mill Creek. Did that today. Tough to beat going to Mill Creek.
I put up an argument for that it's the best canyon in Utah, and I was hit with some angry. I'm like, you've never. It's the best. It's the
Yeah.
Yeah.
best canyon. I mean,
Yeah,
come on.
other than
Yep.
cars and cars and deer, you can't complain
That
about
is
the
true.
everything else, bro.
No, I totally agree.
All right, if you know Scotty, he travels well. Favorite place to
Oh
travel?
boy, to
Oh
travel.
boy. Yeah.
Yeah, anywhere. Yeah, anywhere new. Karen and I like to come up with new places to go to. So anywhere new, anywhere we can research and go to. There's so many cool places to go in this world, and I want to go to all of them. So,
Hmm.
so anywhere like that. But we've been to Italy, is really cool. Switzerland's really really cool, and yeah, there's just a lot of cool places out there. So no one favorite, but I guess the one favorite place we go, and some of the team members have connections up there. McCall, Idaho, we go there every other year as a family, and that's a tough place to be. Really pretty up there.
Yeah. Scott, what's cool is when you go to these places, the adventure goes with you. And it is really fun to follow your Strava when you leave the
It's the
country.
best. I was
Yeah,
gonna
it's
say
kind of
the
a
same thing.
requirement.
There was one time, I swear last year, maybe 2 years ago, when you went to like Samoa or Fiji. Weren't you in like a Pacific island where I was like, this is Zwift. He's not in, this isn't real.
Yeah, for my parents, I think it was like 50th anniversary or something like that. They took all the kids and their spouses um, to Maria, and
Hmm.
that was really cool. That was kind of a once in a lifetime experience, and yeah, that was awesome.
I can imagine when they first announced where it was, Scott went to Google and just said trails in Maria.
Yeah, exactly. Thank goodness there was some cool stuff there.
Bike rentals.
Bike rental, Maria. That's so cool.
Okay, this is a great question. A really fun response. So, most
Yeah.
memorable bike experience. This is awesome.
Oh man, so this was yeah. Chip likes to or Chip said that I can do all these things and have it not affect me. So this one I was very affected by. AJ had the idea of doing one of these Rafa prestige rides, and I had never heard about him before. And of course, he knows about all this stuff. And they do them all over the country and maybe even all over the world, where they will do these races. And this one, I don't know if they're structured the same, but this race was structured as a team event where you've got four people, and the goal is to start together and finish together. I don't know if you have to ride in the middle together, but anyway, and so there's maybe 15 to 20 groups that do it, and the goal is to be the first group back. And so this one was cool and pretty pretty alluring, just because actually there's a lot of cool gravel stuff that I'd never done. And so we went up Main Street, Park City, kind of took the road. I don't even know what it's called. The road after Main Street that turns into kind of
Hmm.
one of the cat tracks up in Park City, and then you actually end up at the top of Guardsman um, through you end up on Pinecone, take the rest of Pinecone up, and then ended up the top of Guardsman. We took that down all the way into Heber. Where did we go?
Yeah, Wasatch Mountain right here.
Yeah, went into Heber, and then took the rail trail down and around Deer Creek, and so did that. Took that down Provo Canyon, and then went back up Sundance, and then going instead of you. We started down Cascade. Once you got to the top, started down Cascade, but then right out the spring. What is our spring there
Oh
called?
yeah, right there.
What is that? You guys remember what that spring's called? Whatever that spring there is called. Anyway, instead of going on the road, you take a dirt road up, and I'd never taken this dirt road up, and then you end up at the top of Snake Creek, kind of in midway, and then take the Snake Creek Canyon down,
Wow.
and then out to Jordanelle, took the perimeter trail on Jordanelle around, and then finished in Park City. And the nature of the race is it's self-supported, and so you're kind of on your own. They were actually at that spot on Cascade for one feed zone, and so that was really nice. But other than that, we were on our own, and I made that climb from there up to Snake Creek, and then down into Heber. It was just brutal. Sun was on us.
Yeah.
The group was Scott Allen. We've already talked about Scott Allen, AJ, and then AJ's son. And yeah, you do anything with a couple of Jordans and Scott Allen, and I was way in over my head,
Yeah.
and I'm used to riding with these guys to some extent, but it was pretty brutal, and
Hmm.
just ran out of water, probably just underhydrated. We filled up with water down in Heber before we went over to Jordanelle, and just didn't drink enough, and I just totally just got dehydrated, and I was trying to be a good team member, and just trying to follow these guys' will. But yeah, I got to the end, and I was pretty smoked.
Aaron or Ryder Jordan says, kind of a ridiculous day.
And yeah, and if he says that, it's yeah, and they did awesome. Pulled me all the way in, and yeah, we ended up being the first group in, but yeah, I definitely tried to sabotage it, but just they still pulled me in.
I like it when I like the term you became the liability on the squad.
Quickly became the liability, but
When when you look around, you're like, uh-oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
is Scotty okay?
How did I get here?
Yeah.
A super fun day though. I mean, yeah.
That's cool. Fun. All
Oh
right.
man.
Perfect day. This is a good one. What's your perfect day?
Oh, perfect day. Yeah. Good bike ride, good gravel ride, maybe a game of golf, and then head to Nilsson's or something like that.
Nice. That's
Yep.
good. All right, we gotta move. I don't want to move fast, but we've got some content here. When it comes to racing, training, riding, your job, your family, your life, how do you approach it all, Scotty? Is there a way you balance it all, or um, like a mantra you live by, or anything that? I mean, you do so much fun stuff. Is there anything that you try to do to?
Yeah, I mean, my mantra is really, there's, yeah, if an adventure comes up and somebody wants to go do something, I want to be available to go do it. And so I guess that's kind of why I kind of force myself to do a fair amount of running, fair amount of biking, and then running adventure comes up or hiking adventure comes up, I'm ready. And if biking adventure comes up, I'm somewhat ready, and don't have to go put in a bunch of time to train. Obviously, when races come up, I kind of adjust my schedule and try and focus on them. Like Crusher, I tried to get ready for that and was nearly ready for that. So that was a little disappointing when that kind of
Same.
went away. But yeah, kind of move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Just kind of go from adventure to adventure.
Nice. Chip, any questions about? Yeah,
We'll all
go.
be ready for Crusher next year. That's it. I mean, that was a big group that we had going down.
Oh, that would have been so cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was going to be a good day.
Yeah, what are we gonna do? Do I have to rent that cabin again? I guess it
Yes.
didn't burn, so.
Oh man, that is too bad.
Hmm.
Yeah, looking forward to that next year.
We kind of talked about how you've been working with Maybird and with NICA. I agree with you here. You put a note here though where you've been sweep for the NICA group. Can you talk about that for a minute? That is like actually a really special thing.
It's the
Really,
best.
it's the best. So
Yeah.
awesome.
That's pretty fun. So yeah, like I say, there's a lot of jobs to do to put these races on, and they have you sign up for all sorts of things. One of the jobs to do is to be sweep, and so you go in and you ride at the back of the group, whatever race group you sign up for, and that's kind of fun. One of the only instructions is don't be too close to the last kid, because if he gets his photo taken and sweeps right behind him, that's not going to be good. So you don't want to you don't want to shame these kids. So you got to stay back far enough, but other than that, you got to stay close enough in case they need some help. That's just kind of fun. You just kind of follow the race.
shame them.
I've never thought of that, but that makes total sense.
Gosh, so
That was about. I'm sure there's other things they told me, but that was the only thing that I really remember.
Yeah, that is
Um,
awesome.
maybe some advice and suggestions. I consider you highly motivated, really fun to be with. Where does that come from? Like, is that just inborn, or is there something that kind of keeps you moving?
Probably some sort of fear of not being able to hang on a team
Exactly.
ride, right? You gotta,
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
you know that Monday morning Emmy's going to come and someone's going to hit the gas, and you don't want to be all the way at the back. So I want to be somewhat competitive.
Yep.
So a lot of it's there, or yeah, you want to go on a long ride with the group, and you want to be able to, yeah, be somewhat competitive. So like, so fear, yeah, or a race, yeah, same kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it's something I enjoy and like doing. You have a hard time, 6 days a week, got to be out there doing something, whatever it is. It's just kind of, once you start doing it, it's just hard, not for me anyway. Just day's not right unless I do something, or like you say, do two things. Gotta
Yeah.
get it all in.
Yeah.
So true. Scotty, we have Duole just continues to grow. And we'd love to hear your advice to those that are starting out. It's fun to sit in the Peloton and hear someone talk about getting started, or they're about to have their first baby. I hear that frequently, and you're like,
Wait,
and
what?
every time I hear that, I'm like, man, now I'm the old guy.
Yeah.
And once upon a time,
we are all officially old dudes now.
yeah. And once upon a time, I was like sharing with the Peloton, I have a baby on the way, So what advice do you share with those that are getting started with the team and joining us?
Good question. But that is why I like the team. Man, so many good. I guess that's one bit of advice. Find a mentor in the group. Whether it's for what I do with my kid, or how do I race this race. But the team is just so full of so much just knowledge and support and good dudes. Yeah, find a way to make some friends, go on some rides with these people on Mondays and otherwise, and just talk to people. And it's just such a cool group of guys that have so much experience on so many levels. It's just hard not to grow as a cyclist, grow as a person, grow as a father, grow as a friend. And so yeah, just find some friends, and they start as mentors, end up as friends, and it's a great group.
So true.
I love this advice you wrote, Scott, where you said winning is great, but that isn't the end game. Can you talk about that?
I don't know. I guess that's what I say to make myself feel better, because I don't win very much. So that can't be my end game. But I don't know. I mean, you get to some point, and for some people, if that is your goal, that's great. We've got people on the team that are just crazy fast, and they're going to podium, and that's amazing. And for them, if that's that's the end game for them, that's great. For others, some of us just want to have a good time, want to stay healthy. Like I say, we're not, as young as we used to be. So, near for me, getting close to 50 years old, I just want to stay in shape and try and do this as long as possible with these guys, and with with my kids and family and friends. And so
Nice.
for me, that's the end game, is just staying in the game.
Cool. If you got a time machine to go talk to young Scotty, what would you say to him, 21-year-old Scott? Would you do it all the same, or is there anything that advice you'd give yourself?
That's a good question. I'm probably probably like my son, where if I went back, I probably wouldn't listen to myself. I'm pretty hard headed, so I don't know if I would have done that. But yeah, some of the best advice I ever got, I think, at least that I remember. There just weren't many people either I solicited advice from or gave me advice that I remember. But I distinctly remember golfing one time, and a guy I was playing with, it was just me and him. He was maybe 15 years old, and he said, he said how he's investment banker. He retired at 35, and I was a 15-year-old. I'm like, well, that sounds kind of cool. How did you do that? And his advice was, I just found the people in the business who were the best, who knew everything about it, and just learned as much as I could from them, and kind of went from there. And no, I was playing with this guy at Bonneville, whether he was really this rich guy playing about Bonneville or not, I don't know. He's probably just lying to me. But regardless, I think the advice holds to where, yeah, whether it's biking, how to be a good dad or otherwise, just find some good mentors and yeah, take their advice and take it to the next level.
That's great. Good advice. Chip, any final questions before we wrap up?
Yeah, no,
Thoughts?
I'd say more so final thoughts to say, Scott, thanks for being a great example to all those on the team. This is an example in Scott that has been here now for we're into 20 years riding together, that is started young, but now mentoring community in cyclists with the high school team, with the Maybird team. But those mentors that we talked about earlier, the Chris Petersons and the Dave Sharps, are now the Scott Miles of the Duole team, and people are looking up to Scott as an example, and also just as nervous about his reckoning as we were about riding with Dave Sharp and Chris Peterson when we were early 20s. So Scott is an example to how the cycle of Duole and community works, of growing up in it and then giving back in it.
I appreciate that. And I mean, you guys obviously are doing the same thing. I mean, only times 2 or 3 or 4. I mean, with what you guys do with our team, with Olympus and just the community, and you guys are amazing. Appreciate all the whole team appreciates all the effort you guys put in.
Happy to do it.
Yeah.
It's awesome. Thanks, Scotty. Grateful for you. And man, I hope my prayers are answered that Skyline and Olympus go back together in Region 3 or what. That would be the
best. Do it already, people, for sure. That would be great.
Cool.
It'll be a good season, though.
Thank you, guys. Teams. Thanks, Scott.
Okay, guys. Thanks so much.